8 a.m. Los Angeles, 11 a.m. Orlando, and midnight Osaka, Japan. So, welcome everyone. It's a great pleasure to have everyone here with us today on this topic that is actually very dear to my heart. Like Shieko, I studied law, and that's the topic that is the closest that I work with at the Institute for Global Peace and Conflict Resolution at the University of Sao Paulo. But I am also a filmmaker. So I went to lived in Los Angeles for many years. Went to film school at UCLA, making a new documentary right now. So the topic of entertainment is the one very dear to me. So now, further to thanking everyone here, I would like to say it's a great pleasure to be moving now towards our 10th live on gender and peace, which is a pillar of the work done by the Institute for Global Peace and Conflict Resolution at the University of Sao Paulo. We decided that this topic is a very important one, going towards gender equilibrium. And today we have this stellar group of people here with us. And with Shieko Aoki, president of Blue Tree Hotels and Shieko Aoki Management. And we have Jennifer Mcgill from Disney Live Entertainment. We have Tim Shea from Universal Creative in Japan, Universal Studios Japan, and John from JRCO Scenic in Orlando. So today, it's important for us to have a very informal contact amongst all of us. I think people are very curious about how these industries that we're talking about hospitality, we're talking about entertainment, and how these industries have been affected by the pandemics that we have been faced with in a very unexpected manner ever since the beginning of this year. And we'll also be talking about other topics, how you have faced it, the challenges, and the future perspectives, right? So if I may, I would like to start with Shieko. I will introduce each of you as we go along. So Shieko is the founder and president of the Blue Tree Hotels chain. And as I mentioned before, she is a graduate of University of Sao Paulo Law School. She also studied business administration at the University of Sofia in Tokyo and hotel administration at Cornell University in the United States. She's worked many places around the world, in the United States, Asia, Europe. Shieko was the president of the Caesar Park hotel chain and vice chairman of Westin, which is the oldest hotel chain in the United States. Shieko mentions that her hobby is to stay at home, reading, seeing movies, and singing karaoke. But with all this responsibility, Shieko, I'd like to know, where do you find time for this? So tell us a little bit how you have faced all these challenges, especially the hospitality industry is the one has been really hardly affected by the pandemics over the past few months.
Good morning again, everyone. Thank you very much, Gerson, for inviting. And when you invited me, I thought, well, I am the hospitality in a global way, but entertainment is not my strength. I am always learning from about entertainment, especially from the United States, and Japan and other countries that are very advanced at entertainment than Brazil. So I will focus on how we work with our hotels. And unfortunately, in our group, we have three businesses that were very much affected by this COVID. We are in the hotel business, and we're in the food business, and event space business. So we are affected in all our business. So when this virus COVID started in China, we felt very alerted. We were very worried about the situation that would spread worldwide. So we immediately started to study how to prevent and to have all the control to secure our clients. And so this was our first step, and also to secure our financial security, to be, to guarantee as much as I could on timeline, because we saw that this would last for longer period. So these two actions were immediately done. So, but then financially, we made it very, how it's called, very in a conservative way, believing that it would last longer.
Hello?
Chieko is frozen for me. Are you being able to see her?
No,
Chieko, can
she's
you hear
frozen
her?
for me.
She's frozen for me. This is Clarice
Yeah.
from Mcgill in Washington.
Yeah. Okay. So let's wait until Chieko returns. Well, I think she lost her connection. So she'll be back with us right away. I mean, this is the beauty of these lives. You have to improvise, with internet connections, children, dogs, and etc. So if we move along, I would like to introduce to you our next person, who is actually the one who originated with this idea, John Richards. We spoke a while ago. It would be really interesting to hear about how the entertainment industry is facing some of these challenges. And John Richards is CEO of JR Company, Inc., that began in Los Angeles, in Southern California, Los Angeles area, in 1989. So John's been active in this area for over 30 years now. And his first client, let's say customer, was the Disney stores. And then over the years, John Richards' company experienced significant growth after expanding from its initial 2,000 square facility in Temple City, and then moving on to Ontario. And then he started realizing the necessity to further expansions, and relocated the company headquarters to its current facility in Mira Loma, California. And then further to that, he moved on to an additional 30,000 square feet facility in Orlando. So now he works on a bi-coastal basis. As of 2019, John Richards' company has 120 team members. That includes managers, engineers, artisans, designers, craftsmen, all of whom are capturing the visual of the clients that he has, So I would like to ask John Richards, I mean, what was the industry like in the pre-COVID era, and what is it like today?
Well, the pre-COVID era, I'd like to first, can you hear me, Jay?
Yes.
Great, I'd like to thank
We'll go right back to you, okay? I see you rejoined us. Okay.
Okay, first I'd like to thank Glip for having us on today, and the group that you're with, and having Jay, having the team here. It's great to see everybody that I know and others that I don't know. So pre-COVID was an environment where everybody was busy, and we didn't ever take the hygiene needs of separating people and hand washing, and the fact that if I touch something, then the next guest comes and touches the same thing, and it's just not a problem in normal society without a pandemic happening. Little things like the flu certainly got passed around that way, but it wasn't really in the forefront of thought process when we were building or designing projects. And I think obviously COVID has changed all that. The need for, I'm just going to refer to it as hygiene, but it's the inability of me to pass viruses from myself once I use something, or if I'm in a physical space, to someone else. And I think that it's been a complete mind shift for those of us that haven't been germaphobes all our lives. I think it's been a new awakening on our part.
Very good, John. And let's just go back now after your introduction. I'm sure that Chieko with her hospitality business also faces a lot of this problem. So Chieko, we have you back. You were talking about the challenges you have been facing in the COVID era. So if you could unmute your audio.
Okay,
Yes.
now it's okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, something happened to my computer. Now I'm on my cell phone. So we had to secure the safety of the people and the financial situation. And we did this. And when we made our manuals, we put it to all the dispose it to our people, to the Brazilian people, to all the hotels, so that they could follow, a part of our what we had researched and what we had prepared to secure the clients' the health. So after that, we had to close all the hotels. We had all our business closed. 4 months closed.
Wow.
Yes. Sorry, we had 3 hotels open just for the essential services, like doctors and very few people. But we had to keep open to help, these people that would need to stay somewhere. So we started to reopen now, slowly. And most our hotels are for business and not for leisure. The leisure business is fantastic. They are reopening this Friday, and it's already full, because people want to get together, with the family, etc. But all other business in our business hotels are open, but they are slowly going slowly yet. But we are now working on different programs, not only for staying and for beds, etc., but for other business, is to use our hotels as offices and long stays, etc. So we have a lot of challenges, and in our events space, we are working like a studio, you call studio, for making all the lives and big like TV studio. And it's been a slow business, but picking up. So
you had to reinvent yourself.
Yes, that's what we have to do all the time, but now more than before. But it's an exciting time, because one thing is very interesting. Our business, our hospitality world in Brazil we were not so much connected. We are separated, every sector doing its business. But now, hotel business, they all get together, events business together, and tourism as a whole are getting together. And this is a big, great asset for the future. So nothing's only bad, always there's some new rooms, new routes that are good for the business.
That's good to hear a positive note, Chieko. If I could move on now to the introduction. We're in the introduction phase right now, and then we'll move into discussing amongst ourselves. So I'd like to introduce and welcome Jennifer Mcgill. Jennifer is senior producer at Disney, at Parks Live Entertainment. She began her Disney career in stage management over 25 years ago, and working on the numerous of shows and events for Disneyland Resort and Buena Vista, special events as well. She served as production manager for the original Word of Color that won the Tia and Brass Ring Award, as well the fireworks show Remember, Dreams Come True, Haunted Mansion Holiday, and Hong Kong Disneyland Grand Opening Ceremony. Some of her favorite projects include Frozen. I think you're not alone on this. Everyone who has a child, especially a daughter or a niece, a granddaughter, will relate to you. The Parks and Resorts presentation at D23 Japan in 2018, and the recent Oogie Boogie Bash Halloween event at Disney California Adventure. Tell us a little bit how your routine has changed, Jennifer, over the past few months.
Well, it's at 110% changed. Like everyone, I've been at home, and unprecedented for everyone, but Disneyland as well has been shut down since March 13th, which is just, it's inconceivable that we're now at the end of July and still not reopened. Some of our sister parks have opened around the globe, but we have not received clearance here in California due to conditions to reopen. So one of the things that I like to focus on right now, as it's easy to be frustrated and upset with all that's changed, all that must be different, and the rules and the regulations. I think no one knows where tomorrow will be and what the new regulations will be on how to operate. But the best thing about working in the entertainment business is that I work with some of the most fantastic, creative, innovative minds. And I think that we're going to see a real renaissance on how we do our entertainment. And for me, entertainment is storytelling. And I think that coming out of this situation, there are a lot of important stories to be told, whether related directly to the pandemic or other things around the globe. So I'm seeing this potentially as a new renaissance of an era where a lot of exciting things can come out, and new ways of thinking and new ways of doing business. But right now, it's a lot of thinking and not being able to put much into practice just yet.
Very well. It's interesting that you mentioned, that you have a lot of fun in what you do. When we're thinking about the topic that we would choose for this live, I originally thought, brainstorming, having fun again. It's probably what's in the mind of lots of people. When are we going to be able to get out of our homes and have fun again? So on that note, I would like to introduce Tim Shea, who is talking to us from Osaka, Japan. And speaking of having fun and entertainment, I think that Tim will have a lot of interesting aspects to talk to us about Tokyo 2020 Olympics, now postponed to 2021. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first of all, please let me introduce Tim. Tim is a senior technical manager show for Universal Creative, University Studios in Japan, Osaka. He lives in Osaka now, Japan, with his wife, and has two daughters who are, if I understand correctly, Tim, they are in the United States.
That's correct.
So Tim's been in entertainment industry also for more than 20 years now, right? So before Universal, he was a project manager for an architectural fabrication company in California, and did work for theme parks and casinos. So Tim, if you could tell us a little bit how you have been dealing with this issue in Japan over the last few months, please.
Well, here in Osaka, we closed USJ on February 29th of this year, and we were closed until June 19th. It was a pretty substantial period of time, longest closure in the park history. And in the past, we'd had a few, a day here for a typhoon cleanup or earthquake, but it was a big hit to the park. That there's not much revenue in the theme park business if you don't have any guests coming through the gate. So definitely a substantial hit for us, and really changed the way that we operate and the way we think about it. As John mentioned, thinking about who's touching what, and as people are coming into the park and in restaurants and in the retail and in rides and standing in the queue line, your whole thought process has to change about adapting for this new Corona era we're dealing with.
And Tim, if we can stay with you now, I've introduced everyone so far. What is the expectation for Tokyo 2020 to actually take place, to happen in 2021?
Well, July 25th, just 5 days ago, marked the 1 year to go. There was a big fireworks ceremony in Tokyo. There's a lot of publicity here locally about it. It's still being hyped up. I think that there's mixed emotions about it. There's a big part of the businesses, definitely, well, they wanted the Olympics to be here for the revenue and in all of the travel and the tourist. And I think that there's still, you hear rumblings that people think, well, maybe it should just be canceled altogether. So it's kind of a mixed bag of opinions on it. But I think overall, this in the city and the businesses, there's still banners up. There's a logo where they've written the numbers 2020, and then the last zero acts as the O for spelling of one. So ONE. So 2021, and it's kind of been a big logo going around the city and all throughout Japan. So I think overall, everybody's really excited about the Olympics, and we just have to be patient and hopefully get through this pandemic in time, or get it under control, or come up with the appropriate countermeasures to deal with it. I know that Tokyo, I was up there about 6 months ago, and there was a lot of construction going on. They were ready. It was going to be, it's unfortunate, but.
So, but there is an expectation that until June, July, summer next year, that the event, the Olympic Games, can still take place, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. Like I said, they just had a huge ceremony 5 days ago on the 25th for the 1 year to go mark, right? So it's 1 year from July 25th. July 25th, 2021 is opening ceremony, and so that was a big celebration, and everybody's really excited about it coming back.
Very well. Chieko, we've talked a few days ago about, you have had your experience, many different areas of the world. You even talked to me that the place where you have worked for the least amount of time is Brazil. So Europe, Asia, the United States. So, you have Japanese descent. Tell us a little bit about how you perceive the way the Japanese would approach this situation in the hospitality in the area that you're familiar with, the way they would approach this, the way Americans would, and the way Brazilians would, from your personal experience, please. Tem que liberar o seu som, por favor.
Como é que é? Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I think this period was very interesting to really know people, how people are. I think, the values of the people, of the whole society. And for example, I saw in all the countries, every country, people were very had empathy about other people. Solidarity was something that was in every heart. Also in Brazil, I noticed it in every country, but in Brazil, we have a very different level of how do you call? We have very rich people and very people that they are not very not poor people, and everybody get connected so strongly to help people. And I thought this Brazil, I think it's a very good opportunity for me to tell, thank you, Gerson, because how the Brazilians are that very few people really know. As Gerson said, I had the opportunity to experience the hospitality of different countries. I lived in the United States for many years. I lived in Europe, also in Japan, many years. And for example, I think in the United States, what I learned about the process, procedure, efficiency, everything so correctly done, very well done. And this is an advanced. This is the United States. And also in the Europe, I call it like a best butler service is in Europe. Everything is perfect, cleaned, and people, the measure, the way they react, etc. This is Europe, European hospitality. Asia is more spiritual hospitality because of their tradition, of millennial tradition, of the Buddhism, etc. There is a service coming from the spiritual, source. And how about Brazil? Brazil is we imported the hospitality first from Europe, then from the United States, and also very little from Asia. And we found out that the Brazilians, because we are a nurse of immigrants, there is a very strong feeling of empathy, of como é que fala? Calor humano. It's
Human warmth.
Yeah. Human warmth. It's a very strong human warmth. And this is a different, this is a characteristic or the quality of our hospitality. And for example, Japan, I think there is a very warm hospitality, but it's different because in Brazil, the hospitality here, they have to turn to improve the service, the quality, because to be very professional. This we like Brazilians like a little bit of the professional, expertise. I talk about the average people, but they are so warm that this can be covered very easily. And for example, I had a Japanese guest. And when I visited just this guest in Japan, I saw the picture of our guest relations in his picture in his office. And I asked him, why you have the picture of our guest relations in your office? And he said that when he was working, he was staying in our hotel. When he arrived at the hotel very tired, this guest was so warm and made him feel so well that he took the picture and took to Japan. And when in Japan, he's very stressed. And he looked to him and talked to him. This is, how to explain how the Brazilians are so warm. I had another guest, as an American guest, a lady from a high executive from the bank. And I asked one of our guest relations to take care of her. And when they asked, how is she? And our guest said, well, she is doing very fine. She is loving staying here, but she had a problem with her because she had, a problem of getting divorced or not divorced, etc. But I helped her. Don't worry, because I helped her. But how you could help her? And she said, oh, because I couldn't do anything for her. So I took her to, how do you call cartomante?
A card reader. So like a psychic.
Yeah, like that. And she said, but you cannot do that. It's because she can be offended. And she said, no. She was so happy that she went back there again. So this is, Brazilians are hospitality is more than far, more than the uniform they use. Because in every country, I feel that people are very helpful, but they are very conscious of the uniform and the badge they use. But in Brazil, they care about the person, the people that are in front of them. So this Brazilian warmth, I think, is a Brazilian hospitality. We have many, many wonderful cases, And what we do in our hotels, that is like what you do in the university. We want peace. We want peace in the world. We want peace in Brazil. So we think that when we care about people, we care about each other. We take care of each other. We get connected, we get friends, and we don't fight each other. And this we are doing through our hospitality business, and we are spreading in all of the world, in Brazil. And we take it like we wanted it to be the Brazilian way of hospitality. We want the peace, we want warmth, and we want to, empathy, to embrace people. And I think we are Brazilians are exactly like that. And so people when come to Brazil, I hope everybody can come to Brazil. They can feel this Brazilian warmth. And thank you, Gerson, for the opportunity to talk about this, because very few people know it. It's only when they come to Brazil, they feel how they are, warmth is so important for us. And just one more thing, if you allow me. For example, in our resort, what we are doing, what we do is to connect people, the family. For example, the 3 generations, the grandfathers and grandmothers, and the fathers and the children. And we do all entertainment to connect these people, to reinforce the family ties, and to reinforce the ties with other people, to connect with other people of the resort. So we want not to be not only in the hospitality business. We want Brazilians to strengthen our strengths of being warm and being human. This is, I think, it's very important for our business and for Brazilian tourism.
Thank you very much, Chico. I very much appreciate you talking about that, because after all, we're a global institute trying to promote peace. And it's wonderful to have people from different areas of the world to be able to learn from each other and relate to each other. I think this is the most important pathway towards peace. It's maintaining like a good quality of relationship amongst people. And talking about that, another person that has a lot of experience traveling around the world, spent some time in Dubai, already came to Brazil too, John. John, please tell us, how do you perceive this, building upon what Chico just said? When you worked in Dubai, working in the United States, what did you feel were the different challenges that you had to face in these places?
I think one of the things that everybody faces is the fact that we leave our countries naive of other cultures. And even though you see cultures on TV or you learn about it in college or coursework, until you experience it firsthand, you tend to not understand other cultures very well. And I'm not suggesting by living in a country for a year, you become an expert at it, but it makes the world a smaller place by traveling, by working in other countries, other continents. Certainly makes the world a smaller place in terms of your own personal perspective, and makes you realize how closely related everybody around the world really is. I wanted to tie one comment together from what Jennifer said and what Tim said. Jennifer was saying it's exciting for the new challenges we face with the new concepts of possible design and what we have to do to kind of overcome this COVID earlier in her piece. And then Tim talked about the new logo that the Olympics came out with, which I thought was incredibly creative, to take the 2020 logo and add the word one at the end, which is now combining the fact that it is 2021, but it's the 2020 Olympics. So that's the creative part that I think the people that are on the design side and the development and delivery side of what we do, whether it's entertainment or hotels, the challenges that are exciting, that are in front of us, instead of being causing us to be anxious with what we're doing, is the excitement of what we're going to have to do to face those challenges, to conquer those hurdles we have in front of us as businesses and as people, and come out the other side better as a society and as companies and as individuals. I just thought that example of Jennifer's story and then Tim's story and how those make sense together. So sorry about going backwards and regressing, but I just thought that was a really great tie-in. I personally I'm kind of sad we're not traveling the world right now. I'm kind of sad that we're restricted, because I think it makes the world seem a bigger place. And when you do get a chance to work in Europe or work in the Middle East or work in Asia, the world seems smaller. It seems that we're more connected and we have less differences than you do when you don't travel. And I think the biggest benefit for me as a person that grew up in the United States, first off, you realize the United States is not the only country in the world, which is a very nice perspective to have. It's also a nice perspective to see how closely related human beings are all over the world. And I think that's the big learning lesson of traveling the world and working all over the place.
Thank you very much, John. Speaking of lessons, I was talking to Jennifer previously, and considering that this is a series on gender and peace, I would like to hear from Jennifer. What are some of the most important lessons you have learned from your mentors, please?
Great. And actually, if you don't mind, if you can indulge me, I'd kind of like to take a page from John and build off of what he and Shaiko said. One of the things, I think it's very easy to read the news and get a little bit depressed and a little bit down. I see so many articles about, bad news in the live entertainment business. I know so many friends that are wondering what the future looks like. But I think a lot of what Shaiko said about the warmth, it reminds me of, I think the true spirit of live entertainment is we all like to come together. We all crave that connection. And while we're not able to have that face-to-face connection in the same way right now, I have every confidence in the world that we will get back there, if not immediately, as soon as possible, because we crave it as humans. We need that connection. It's what feeds it. It's what drives us. And I'm, like I said earlier, I'm excited about the Renaissance. I'm scared for the future, but I'm also excited and interested to see where we're going to go. Because I think that there's so much to be done, and there's so many great minds sitting at home wondering and thinking and pondering about where the next revelation will come from, and it will come because there are so many wonderful creative minds around the world. So thank you for indulging me a little bit of a turn there. But two of the things that I have kind of clung to or been instructed along my way by mentors is one is always say yes to opportunity, unless it's a hard no. And I think that that's something that as you gain experience, you start to learn like what things drive you, what passions you have, and to be open to new possibilities. To go in my way back, I started college as a psychology major with no theater, no entertainment. I grew up on the East Coast. I was in college in Connecticut, about as far away from Disneyland as I could be. And I took one intro to theater class that was a requirement, and it was a 500-person lecture at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. And I think I was the only college freshman awake in the class. But I loved it. And it ignited something in me. And I remember going at the end of the semester to the professor and saying, I'm not an actress, I'm not a designer, but I find theater really interesting and fascinating. And he encouraged me to take more classes. And I confirmed, I'm not an actress, I am not a designer. But what I am is I'm an organizer, and I like to bring things together. And there's a lot of chaos in theater, and that translates over into entertainment. And that's what I like. I like to find that chaos and to bring sense to it and bring order to it so that it can thrive, because that's part of the creative process. So I always encourage people, I never would have imagined this path that I've gone on. And I wouldn't have gotten here if I hadn't been open to being awake in a theater class at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning, as a young college student. And it took me on a path I never would have imagined. And I live a very exciting, blessed life. And I've worked with so many amazing people in amazing places. So always be open to the opportunity until you know that that's absolutely what you don't want to do. And then another bit of advice that I was given early on is give your knowledge away. Don't ever hold all your cards. Don't feel like you have to hold on to that information so that you're the smartest person in the room. It's much more interesting to be the least smart person in the room and to soak up all their knowledge and to give your knowledge away. So as I talk to people, starting their career paths or taking the turn, I always suggest those two things. Give your knowledge away because it will come back to you. in exciting ways, and it's much more fun to share it. So those are my words of wisdom for what they're worth.
These are good words of wisdom, Jennifer. I mean, thank you very much for this. I'm sure this serves as inspiration for lots of us, you know, and just getting a hook on this, moving on to Chieko. Chieko is also involved with a group called the Brazilian Women of Brazil. And I'm sure you serve as a mentor too, to lots of, you know, young career aspiring men and women. And how do you feel about this mentorship, this work? Who are your mentors? How do you feel as a mentor yourself?
It's so important to be available to give your knowledge away, and to make sure that, to be quite frank, as a woman in this industry, I've had a lot of opportunities and I have not felt held back by it. However, I do very often sit in a room where I realize I'm the only woman here. And it is important to make sure that we open the door and we bring more voices in, and we bring not only more women in, but more diversity in, because we all benefit and succeed from that. But I think that it's also important not to isolate men and to feel like I can only mentor women, because we come at this together. We come at from different perspectives and vantage points, but we must be equal in those that we encourage, so that we continue to thrive, if that makes sense.
Excellent. It makes a lot of sense. Chieko, how about yourself? What's your perspective on this as far as mentors, having your mentors and being a mentor yourself?
I wish to tell something to Jennifer.
Okay.
I had spent my honeymoon in Disney. Yeah, many years ago, and it was, you know, unforgettable. It was wonderful. Disney is always a dream anytime. So Disney is a part of my heart. And when I was at Westin, we built the Westin Swan at Disney. It was the most exciting experience. Everything was different, from the menu to the floor to the wall. Everything was different. It was so exciting. So this is something that changed your life. So I wish to tell you, you know, because all this knowledge, all these dreams, all this you make, it's so important for everyone, you know. For me, for my life, it's forever. So thank you, Jennifer, for all the creative things that Disney and yourself make for the world.
Thank you.
And about we have a group. Denise is very active. Denise is Gerson's sister. Denise Daniel is very active at our group of women in Brazil. We are about almost 47,000 women together in 7 years, and we help each other. And now we are going global. We are in 17 countries, I think. So we are becoming so strong. And what we do, and we help women each other. We want women to have strengths, you know, have inner strengths first thing. And we help them to grow. We help them in any way possible, as entrepreneurs, as teachers, and education, every aspect of our daily life. We are now working very strong on the health. So we are not waiting for the government only to do things. We help the government, and we want to support the government, not inventing new things, but to support the government and support the great, good institutions that are doing very important things in Brazil. So the most important thing is that everyone is mentoring each other. And this connection, women connection each other. I have learned so much, because women wish to help other women, and not only women, but wish to help people. And this is so fantastic that anywhere I go where there is a group of Mulheres do Brasil, it's like being at home. So we help each other, mentoring, you know, everything we do. So the most important thing, you can join Jennifer, please. We have Mulheres do Brasil also in the United States. We have in New York, I think we have in Los Angeles. So, and you know, they have such much of these Brazilian warmth, and we want to learn from the countries where we are. So it's a kind of world connection through women for, you know, for to get the best for the people, not only for women, for everyone, especially for women. Of course, we help women, but for everyone. So I think now this group of Mulheres do Brasil will be one of the most important forces of Brazil, for not only for women, but to make, you know, the world as a better place for everyone to live. We help refugees. I'm very much involved with the refugees. So, you know, I think we are here to do what we can do, and together we can do more. And women are not afraid of doing things, you know, doing things differently. And that's what we are doing. And I think it's been a success. So Jennifer, please come to join us.
I'm in.
You're very, very welcome.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Chico. Tim, you have a wife of 21 years and two daughters. One, I believe, is in their 20s too. So you are very familiar with this gender equilibrium issue, aren't you?
But, yeah. It's actually 28 years. I've been married for 28 years. It's great.
So in your family, you seem to be a minority in that sense. So the gender is probably really part of your day-to-day life. So moving on, Tim, to some of the challenges that you have been facing. What are some of the requirements that have been imposed by the local authorities? How Japan has been dealing with this, and Universal Studios in Japan?
Well, when we reopened on June 19th, we had to limit not only the capacity, how many guests we would allow in the park, but we also had to limit where they were coming from. So they had to be Osaka residents for the first 2 weeks. So they had to actually show an ID when they came in, and they had to live within Osaka. After that, we opened up to the Kansai region, which is a fairly large region. It goes from Hiroshima north to Osaka and then north to Nagoya. And so we were allowing guests in from the Kansai region. And then after a few more weeks, we were able to open countrywide. But, you know, there was a lot of, you know, preparedness that we had to do to get ready for this because of these regulations. We had to, before we even opened up, you know, we had to start putting things in place for the staff, for the team members, temperature checks when they enter the park, procedures and policies for, you know, sanitizing their hands and their work areas, and rearranging the cafeterias in the so that there was proper social distancing, and then all of that kind of trickled into the guest experience as well. You know, limiting our capacity, adjusting table spacings at restaurants, putting signage and graphics up about social distancing and hand sanitation, and making sure that everybody was wearing a mask the whole time that they're in the park. Temperature checks at the gate, which was a challenge in itself, trying to check the temperature of that many people coming in and setting up the equipment to do that and accurately do that. Those are a few of the challenges that we had to contend with when we reopened.
Very well. I would like to ask everyone who's participating today that the chat is open for questions. So if you'd like to ask questions, feel free to do so. And if you'd like to have a word as well, we are very democratic here. We allow you to do that. So moving forward to our next round, I would like for each and every one of you to think about what are some of the most favorite projects you have participated, that you have done in your life, and what are some of those that you look forward towards doing in the future. Can we start with you, John?
Sure. I think some of my, I refer to them as the crown jewels of my career, the things I've really enjoyed doing, especially as you get a little bit older and you feel like you're maybe closer to retirement than you were at the beginning of your career. But projects like Toontown was a very, very important project for us. And it's an older project now. But at the time it was very cutting edge, and it was exciting to be in the mix of that. And I think bringing to life Universal's new globe. 20 years ago, Universal decided to rebrand their logo, and they went from a very traditional open space frame globe to a blue globe that was a new concept. And so we were able to participate in taking that to a three-dimensional project. And I think those two projects, the level of depth we were involved with, and the time it took, and the fact that our input was part of the final project, was both those jobs, jump out as me as very rewarding. Certainly crowns in my career that I've enjoyed. And going forward, I think there's some exciting projects going on here in Orlando that we're excited to be participating in. It's funny because there's projects that we're slightly involved with all over the world. They're just kind of all waiting to get started again. And some work is continuing during this downtime, but the excitement of what's going to come is immense, and we're excited about all the prospects out there. But LA, Osaka, Tokyo, Shanghai, certainly Orlando, and there's projects going on in Europe that we've talked to people about. So exciting future.
Very good. Jennifer, how about yourself?
Ooh, there we go. Sorry, couldn't unmute. Well, I'm a little biased. It's right behind me. For those that aren't familiar, at Disney California Adventure, we have a nighttime spectacular called World of Color, and that is part of what's behind me. It was a massive undertaking. We created new technology in a lot of different ways, but to say it's a fountain show would be an understatement. While there's over 1,400 fountains in our show, we have lights, lasers, projections, bubbles, all kinds of different effects that come together for this nighttime spectacular that we do. It was over 4 years in the making. I refer to it as my second child. And World of Color is now in its teenage years and is just a true teenager with all of the exciting new nuances to maintaining the show. But it was an amazing team that it was like no other experience. It was challenging at every turn. And from those challenges is where we learn and grow the most. And for me, it was an amazing, amazing time.
Very good. I see we have Kyle Ozier with us too, the creative director. So if you want to ask questions, feel free to do so. It's an honor to have you here. So if we move now to Shieko.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I had the opportunity to work and build hotels in the different worlds, different places. And each project was so exciting because we always built hotels where there was nothing. It's a new place because the land was cheaper and people needed a hotel to start a new development of this location. So every project was very, very exciting. I built hotels where there was no road, for example. And we built, like in Cancun also, it was, we created a new area for Cancun when we built a hotel in Cancun as a Westin. So I had many challenges with our hotels. But one thing that was very most important project in my life was when I started the Blue Tree Hotels, because because of the Japanese economic crisis, the company had sold all the Westin and other hotels, and I had to restart the hotel business with a scratch. And my husband was very sick, had a very serious health problem. And with all this situation, I started a new company. And I started a new company with a focus of having a great service in Brazil, independently of being deluxe hotel or economic hotel. So there was many challenges to solve. And this was the most exciting business. And so far, I think we still making, I think we are changing the way we work in Brazil in hotel business. So I think this influence that the Blue Tree Hotels has built along all these years has been a very important project. And for the future, I'm very excited to know how the hotel business, the hospitality business will change with all this technology that come to our lives and change the business completely. So I hope I'm very excited to know how the future that I don't know yet how it will be, how Blue Tree can work with this change and do it the best for our country.
Thank you very much.
Project.
Thank you very much. Now Tim and Shay, I think you are probably really connected to the next question that was asked by Roberta. She wants to know how these parks, like the park experience will change with people not being able to hug Mickey Mouse anymore or to touch things, or do you think we'll go back to normal? How do you perceive some of this developments that will take place in the future?
So I think, it's a tough one for us. We have a lot of characters that roam around the park here, and people they want to go up and hug them and do the whole, everybody's so excited to see them, especially in Japan. The guests in the park in Japan are so amazing. They get so excited about everything. It's great. And now we have to put the additional team members there in place to keep the social distance. My hope is that goes away, that we get through this and we can kind of go back to the way things were. If we don't, that's when the creativity part of it that Jennifer was mentioned earlier, we're going to have to get creative on how we can bring back that sense of emotion that the guest gets from interacting that close to those characters.
Jennifer, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so absolutely, it's a challenge because it goes back to that connection that we all crave. One of the things, just kismet, when I was working on our Halloween hard ticket event, Oogie Boogie Bash, which premiered last fall at Disney California Adventure, one of the thoughts that we had is, it was a Halloween event and it involved trick-or-treating. So we would have from past events that we had done at Disneyland, guests would line up and, have their bags and look to get their candy. And we were looking to ways to theme them and make them more interesting, creative, and just different. So we wanted to be able to incorporate characters into those trick-or-treat lines. But once you incorporate characters into a line, it slows the line down and your throughput goes down, and that you always want a high throughput so as many people can experience as possible. So what our creative team came up with, which was kind of a test for us, was we had along these trick-or-treat lines, we had characters in a very themed environment up on stages. So you couldn't actually stand with them and get a picture or put your arm around them, but they were there and they were present, and we had the characters able to interact and see guests and say things to them and talk to them, but not actually touch them. And that's one of those things that as we look to reopen like that, I keep coming back to my mind of a model like that in the short term. And I know at Disneyland, like we have our daily parades. Sometimes, in inclement weather, we do smaller versions in smaller vehicles and we put characters in it just so people can have the presence of the characters there. And I think it's finding those creative ways to still have the characters there, because I think the characters at our parks, I know, provide comfort. And there's something to being able to say, I saw Mickey Mouse. While we love to be able to get a picture and give Mickey Mouse a hug, I think in this environment, I think we all know we may not be giving our neighbor a hug, so we can't give Mickey Mouse a hug. So I think people understand and appreciate the time is different. But I think that having ways to have them be present and available, maybe not just in physical reach, is how we'll need to handle things in the immediate future.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Well, we're coming up to like 1 hour now. It's going by so fast. So what I would like to do in this last round is to ask each one of you to give us, a word of motivation, of inspiration, of how we're moving towards the future. And I'd like to start with John, please. If you could unmute, yes.
I have to work on the mute button a little bit better in my life. Real quickly, I think what's coming up is exciting. I think we're going to get through this COVID thing. I really think, I believe, in the next 120 days or so, I think towards the end of this year, there'll be a resolution to it. I don't know how long it's going to take so that we can safely go out and be in public. But I think there's going to be changes in our world, irregardless of whether COVID is active or not active. I think as we get through this pandemic, whether it just burns out naturally like other pandemics in the past, or whether there's actually a medical resolution to it to help us get through this. I think there's a new business model in lots of things, and there's new business models in entertainment. And I think some of those things are going to be adopted even post-COVID. And I think that's the exciting part for designers and creative people and the people that are involved in the world of entertainment is now we've got a new post-COVID world that's slightly different. I mean, companies are announcing new business models constantly, and I think Starbucks comes to mind. They don't want to have you walk in a Starbucks anymore. They want you just to drive through. They found that's a better model for them, and they're not going to go back to a walk-in environment post-COVID. So, and I think theme parks are going to have this. I'm frozen.
I can hear you, John. John, we can hear you well. So while John is coming back to us, so maybe we get Shieko to tell us a little bit about her words of inspiration and motivation for the future.
Well, about the future, so I don't know what will happen, but I think we have some insights. I don't know exactly what will happen, but the technology, I think, will help us a lot for the efficiency. And we humans can dedicate ourselves to help to warm for the feelings, to help people and concentrate our business on the people and the efficiency, etc. The technology will help us. But one thing is, I think we learned from this COVID situation is that most important thing of the human being, our lives. So we will focus more than before on the connection with people connections. We will value more the family, and all this I think will reflect in our future business. And I think it's important because more and more in the past we are forgetting, we are so focused on technology, focused on ourselves. And now I think all of a sudden we felt that things can happen and change. All of a sudden, in one day, everything can change. And what makes us strong is we have the connection with the people, and that everyone feels safe together. So I think that what we have learned in the business that will come will be more secure, will be connecting people and thinking about people. I think this will be the future, and our hospitality will focus on that. The value of the human being and of each life, and that we people be connected worldwide. I think this will be and the feeling, the emotion, that we don't have opportunity right now to feel the emotion like the Disney the universe and Disney, everyone can give to us. this is we discovered how they are important. We didn't value so much in the past. I think now in the future, more and more we value each sentiment, we feeling, and the heart of the people. That's what I think will be the focus of our business in the future.
Chico, these are wonderful words of inspiration. Thank you very much. John, I see we have you back with us. If you'd like, would you like to conclude?
I think I got most of my message across, and thank you for your time. It's been a great hour on our part, but I'm excited about the future. And I just want to, I guess, reintroduce Jen's concept that it can be anxiety brought to your life with all this stuff going on, but the excitement of what's coming and what we get to do to face these challenges that are opportunities in personal growth, in terms of connecting to other people, in terms of being creative. Sometimes those seem like really mountains that we'll never get over, but I think we are gonna get over them. That's gonna be great for those of us that decide to say yes and take on those challenges.
Wonderful, John. Thank you very much for these inspirational words. And Tim, how about yourself?
So, I think Jen and John, I think everybody's really hitting the nail on the head here. The exciting part's going to be the challenge. What do we have to do to make things more comfortable and bring things back to either close to the old normal or establish what our new normal is? Humans are inherently adaptive. If you look back at 9/11, it changed air travel, and when everybody was when it first happened and all the new restrictions got put in place, everybody was all up in arms about how hard it was to travel. But now it's the norm, and so I think we're going to get there. We're going to get some reprieve on the COVID, and at the same time, we'll adapt and we'll adjust and we'll innovate and we'll make an interesting new experience for the guests in our theme parks.
Excellent, Tim. Jennifer?
So I hope it doesn't seem like I'm cheating or a little bit too corny, but as I was preparing and thinking about this talk yesterday, I did something that I do sometimes, and I Googled some Walt Disney quotes, and I came across two that really, really hit me, one of which I don't think I'd seen before. So I'd love to share those. The first is, that's what we storytellers do. We restore order with imagination. We instill hope again and again and again. And I think that that's where we are right now, is that, with all of the uncertainty, with all of the, the things we don't know are around the corner, it's our job as storytellers to use our imagination and to bring some order and some hope to kind of help us get through this, because we will get through this. And then the second one that I liked, all the adversity I've had in my life, all my troubles and obstacles have strengthened me. You may not realize it when it happens, but a kick in the teeth may be the best thing in the world for you. And COVID is certainly a big kick in the teeth for all of us, but we are going to come through this stronger, and we are going to face it with the resilience that we always have. So again, I'm excited for what the future holds. Who knows what tomorrow is, but I know the future is good.
Excellent. Thinking about, we started preparing this. I've been talking to John for maybe a few weeks about this, but we actually started preparing this yesterday, right? So considering that we had a little bit less than 24 hours and we broke our record of viewers today. So we had our largest audience today. This is not only being shown broadcast live here via Zoom, but it's also being broadcast via our YouTube channel at the Global Institute for Peace, GLIP, USP, University of São Paulo. So it will be staying there in our website. And I would also like to thank, before thanking our wonderful speakers for today, you know, the people who helped put us together. This Giovanna Grandke, Giovanna Lordello, Fabio Henrique, Lucas, you know, all our team, and Roberta, and the Associação Paulista do Ministério Público, USP Women, UN Women, and most importantly now, like a heartfelt thank you very much to all of you who helped us today with this motivational live, you know. We start here with human warmth from Chieko, you know. This human warmth will help us move over the mountains, get over the mountains, as John said, you know, and through Jennifer, with restore order with imagination so that we can see Tim in Tokyo 2021, right? So thank you very much, everyone, and hope to reunite with you very, very soon. Everyone have a good afternoon and sleep well, Tim, and it was wonderful to spend this hour with all of you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.